one of the things we're going to talk about today is primary imbalance. And so to help you identify it and move you towards optimal health. One of the primary imbalances is immune system imbalance, meaning your immune system is revved up. A normal immune response is, let's say you get the flu. You're around people and your immune system is low and you start to get sick, the flu virus comes into your body. And what your body does is it makes a little flag and puts it on the flu virus. We call this an antibody. And then another part of your immune system attacks that flu virus. And it can tell which one to attack because of the antibody that's present. And then that attacking process produces a lot of inflammation. And we experience inflammation many different ways. If we had the flu, we experience it as runny nose, watery eyes, we're congested. It might be a flu virus where we have diarrhea or stomach upset. We might experience inflammation as low back pain. We can also experience inflammation. The gentleman in the first few slides with the blood sugar imbalance, one of the risk factors for high cholesterol is that it can clog the arteries. And cholesterol is actually your body's natural antioxidant. Cholesterol in itself isn't bad. What happens is if you start producing more of it because you have inflammation in your body knows you have inflammation, and so it says let's quench the inflammation. And your natural antioxidant is cholesterol, so it will start to make more of it. And then it sticks to the arteries. And then that's the problem with cholesterol. Not that cholesterol is inherently bad. So cholesterol is an inflammatory process. So it's important to know that inflammation is just an immune response. And if you're having symptoms of inflammation, we want to figure out what's going on with your immune system. One of the things that keeps our immune systems balanced are our barrier systems. We have 4 barrier systems. We have skin, we have our lungs, we have our gut, and we have our blood-brain barrier. And when we start to get breakdown in those barrier systems, it means the outside world now has access to our inside, our immune system. And in the skin, we'll see things like rashes or eczema or psoriasis. In our lungs, we'll see allergies or asthma. The outside allergens are now getting to rev up our immune system. And you may have allergies and the person next to you doesn't. You're still breathing the same thing. It has to do with how strong your barrier systems are. And then the gut barrier is one of the biggest barriers. And breakdown in that barrier a lot of time results in diarrhea or constipation or heartburn. And that's the one we're going to focus on today. Hippocrates says that all disease begins in the gut. And that has to do with the things I've just been talking about. Keeping your immune system balanced and your barriers strong. 70% of your immune system actually surrounds your gut. So if you want to decrease inflammation, if you want to balance your immune system, the gut is really the place to start. What happens in the gut is that it's designed to break down your food into teeny tiny little pieces. And these pieces should be absorbed through the cells and then into the bloodstream so your body can carry the nutrients all around. Stress, antibiotics, birth control pills, trauma, many different things can actually break apart these cells, leaving gaps. And we call that leaky gut. Once leaky gut happens, foods that you're eating every single day now have access to your immune system. And so sometimes your body thinks that that food is a virus, like the flu virus, and your immune system puts a tag on it. And then every time you eat that food, your body recognizes the tag, the antibody, and creates inflammation. And this is what we call a food intolerance. We can actually measure leaky gut, and this is where different labs become very helpful. These are markers that are like measuring the glue between the cells. Gluten is by far the #1 food that will rev up your immune system. And if you notice on all of our delicious smoothies, they're all gluten-free, dairy-free. They're also soy-free. And part of this is to decrease inflammation and make your barriers strong. A lot of people have gluten intolerance or dairy intolerance, and they don't know it. Gluten is the protein portion of wheat. Dairy, if you've heard of a dairy intolerance, like lactose intolerance, lactose is the sugar portion of dairy. Casein is the protein portion of dairy. So if you hear someone say I'm lactose intolerant, it means they can't break down the sugar. If you hear them say I'm casein intolerant, it means they can't break down the protein. With gluten, that's the protein portion of the wheat. And over the last 50 years, we have actually changed how our wheat is made, processed, and manufactured. One thing is that there's now something called genetic modified foods. They actually changed the DNA structure of the foods to make them more pest resistant, and also the farmers now have to rebuy seeds every year. So if they're planting wheat, they can't take the seeds from this year's harvest and replant them. They've genetically modified them so that the farmers have to buy more seeds for profit, which is, yeah. And all of this has changed our foods. They did a double-blind study where they tested people to see if they reacted to native wheat and then this modified wheat. And more than 50% of people reacted to the modified wheat. We've changed it. The other thing is that it's stored in bins because farmers want the top dollar. So sometimes up to 2 years, and while it's being stored, it grows these what we call enterotoxins, mold and things that irritate our system. The other thing that's happened over the last 20 or 30 years is something called deamination, where we water down the wheat to make it more water soluble and basically make it cheaper. This is the type of wheat we see in fast food places, your chips, your donuts, all of your highly processed, simple carbohydrate foods. Very, very, very inflammatory. So wheat is not the same wheat that it was 50 years ago. It's different. And if you do the perfect storm of maybe having some excess stress, some certain medications, you develop a little bit of leaky gut, your immune system now is creating inflammation every time you have the wheat. Some people have, when they have wheat, they have GI symptoms. Other people, actually 2/3 of people don't have GI symptoms. It affects their skin and it can affect their nervous system, it can affect anything. Some people just experience low back pain, just based on the amount of inflammation that the gluten produces. So it just really depends on your unique individual chemistry, how gluten affects you. So a lot of people will say, oh, I've tried gluten-free for a few weeks and I didn't feel any better. Or my stomach doesn't hurt, I don't need to give up gluten. And it really doesn't always have to do with your stomach hurting or not. Also, a lot of people will go gluten-free, but they really don't know all the little things that have gluten in it. For example, soy sauce has gluten in it. A lot of thickeners, soups and things like that, salad dressing. So they think they're being gluten-free, but they're actually still having it. And it only takes the tip of a pen to stimulate an immune response in your body. So there's no such thing as being 90% gluten-free. If you really want to know the impact it can have on your health, it's sort of an all or nothing. It can also last, the immune response from gluten can last for up to 6 months. So it really means if you're going to go gluten-free, doing it for a 6-month period. We're also able, the other thing that will happen with gluten is in certain individuals, gluten, and this can also happen with dairy, can break down in your system into a caseinomorphin or glutenomorphin. And you might kind of hear the word morphine at the end of that word. Glutenomorphin or caseinomorphin can stimulate the opiate receptors in your brain, just like other morphine drugs, like morphine or heroin. So this is when people say, I am addicted to bread. I need it, I need it, I need it. This is literally the physiological reaction your body has. Yeah. And know that just like a person might have to detox from drugs, you might detox from gluten. You might actually crash for a period of weeks because your body is going to crave that opioid response. But you will feel better. And we have plenty of support for you.